Before you log into Soulmask 1.0, you need to know this. All of your progress from early access is getting wiped, and that's just the start of what's going to catch a lot of people off guard. The developers just dropped a full breakdown on 1.0 and what players need to know when going into the update. So here's everything important that they have confirmed and what you guys need to understand before diving in. So let's start with the big one, and that is all progress on the official servers and network from early access is getting completely wiped. That basically means no bases, no progress, no advantage. Everybody is going to be starting fresh here on the official server at the 1.0 launch. None of your progress from the official network in the past or currently that you're playing on right now is going to be transferring over. Honestly, I'm impressed that I haven't seen a lot of other content creators talk about this or stress this point because they do have an official network, and there is players that do play actively on the official network that their progress is going to be completely lost. But nevertheless, here I'm telling you guys because I think it is very important. Next up, let's talk about Crossmap play, because this is actually huge with the 1.0 release, but it might not function exactly as you would expect it to. And one of the biggest misconceptions I've seen a lot of people talk about is that you can transfer everything across the individual maps, and that's actually not the case here. The developers have confirmed that only your character and character data actually transfer across the maps, and this specifically includes things like your level, your mask, your tech progression, and your tribesmen. However, bases, your resources, and world progress do not transfer across maps. So that is, again, a very good point that I feel like most players are overlooking or not understanding, and that is something that you need to know, especially going into this, that you can transfer between the individual maps, and it is actually recommended to do so, because that brings us to our next point. However, though, just know that certain things can transfer and other things cannot. And speaking on this, that brings us to another important thing that players need to know about before diving into the update, and that relates to understanding that not everything works on every single map. Some items, abilities, and systems are actually going to be map exclusive. Next up, we've got PvP and PvE. Again, this is all really related to the official server network. If you guys have your own private server and are adjusting world settings or changing settings and stuff, clearly this doesn't really pertain to you. But when it comes to the official network, PvP and PvE are not the same, and they are not treated the same, and they do not have the same abilities across both of the server types. This is going to be where you'll see a massive difference. The Crossmap play feature is 100% fully functional here for PvE official servers. However, it is not for PvP official servers. And I think this makes complete sense. Obviously, I'm sure it does to you as well watching this video. If you guys are a PvP die-hard player, you know there can be a lot of variables and stuff that go in and are considered when it relates to PvP servers versus PvE servers. There's a lot more competitiveness, there's a lot more fairness, a lot more balancing that has to go in everything and be involved with that. That again, the developers are still working to fine-tune that to find out what is the best solution here for Soulmask specifically. But either way, with that being said, if you guys are planning on playing on the official network, that is just something to keep in mind when picking between PvE and PvP. And speaking on official servers, they're also making some changes here to locations and regions that are going to be available for 1.0's launch. That unfortunately does bring us to the fact that they're going to be dropping some regions and that they've currently had available, and instead they're going to be focusing in on the three major ones in their opinion, which is going to be America, Europe, and then Asian servers. So unfortunately, players that are from like Australia, there doesn't seem to be any official servers going to be popping up to support Soulmask, at least not at the 1.0 launch. They do make a statement here that they are going to be looking into opening up other regions and other areas as more demand does become popular for that specific region. But that is something, again, very huge that players need to know, especially for all my Aussies out there that love playing Soulmask or other survival crafting games that potentially will be interested in jumping in here for this game's 1.0 launch. Just know you're probably going to have to pick a server that is not necessarily close to you or in your region, which again could potentially create some hardware or some lag or things like that. So again, just something to keep in mind. Now, next out, let's talk about the Shifting Sands DLC and what happens if you are not an owner of the DLC, but you have friends who are. Well, I've got some really good news for you guys. The developers have actually made some interesting changes and choices here that I do think is more of a positive versus a negative when two people are playing together and one owns the DLC. The first one that they state here relates to the DLC items. If you don't own the DLC yourself, but your friends do, and they happen to give you DLC items, will you be able to use those items? And the developers have stated here in this blog post, yes, but with the caveat of you won't be able to craft those items yourself, and you won't learn the recipe to craft those items in the future unless you do purchase and buy the DLC. And secondly, relates to you yourself not owning the DLC, but you have a tribe mate who does, and actually brings back a Shifting Sands exclusive mount. You yourself will be able to interact with it, use it, and everything just like if it was your own tame. But again, you yourself won't be able to go get it. You'll have to have a tribe mate to do so. I think it's actually really interesting and cool that the developers are allowing these kind of things to still be used and interactable with, even if you don't own the DLC. And finally, that brings us to last but not least, and that is the 2 events that are currently going to be happening. The first event is actually going on right now, and you guys do not want to miss out on these free rewards. And the second event actually starts at the time of 1.0's launch, which as of this moment is April 10th. The first event is actually taking place right now. It's very simple. All you have to do is open up Soulmask and log in if you guys already own the game, but it's basically the developers giving back to the early adopters. You can log in right now and claim the Golden Light Bearer skin, and you can also snag the Feathered Wings Sail skin. It looks like the event time is going to be permanent, and the rewards are going to be automatically given after character creation. You can access character appearances at the mask decoration table and craft sail skins at the building workshop. There's going to be 9 unique styles available. And event number 2, and honestly the most important one, it brings us to the timed multiplayer frenzy event. During the launch weekend, official PvE servers will feature boosted multipliers to help your airship take flight. All right, we've got the event time starting on April 10th, basically the time of 1.0's launch. It's going to be on all of the official PvE servers. The multiplier is going to be experience and yield is at 5 times. Taming, hatching, animal growth, and crop growth speed will be set to 3 times, and max load and inventory slots will actually be doubled. This event will be exclusive to PvE servers. It will be excluded from PvP servers. So again, if you guys are on PvP servers, unfortunately, you will not get this awesome timed multiplayer frenzy. And after the event, the inventory slots will revert to the standard capacity, and excess slots will become withdrawal only. So yeah, Soulmask 1.0 isn't just a reset, it's going to be completely changing how the game's progression, maps, and even servers all work and tie together. As always, guys, I'm very excited to check out the Soulmask Shifting Sands 1.0 launch and DLC when it does drop. I'll be trying to cover and do as much content as I possibly can. If you guys are checking it out or eager to check it out, drop a comment down below and let me know what you are most excited about here for this update. And with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, found it valuable, please be sure to subscribe here on the channel, hit that like button. I'm trying to hit that 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one.